Welcome back. Today, we'll explore all incredible Roosevelt dime coins, nickels, that have taken the collector market by storm due to their rarity, unique mint errors, and stunning historical backgrounds. This video will open your eyes to how even a small 5-cent coin can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the most expensive United States silver Roosevelt 1 dime 1953. Large date with D-error mint mark. This coin, despite appearing in dirty black color condition, has stunned the numismatic community with its extreme rarity and incredible story. The 1953 Roosevelt dime was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark, and belongs to an era when silver was still used in American coinage. It contains 90% silver and 10% copper, making it not only a collectible for its metal content, but also a historic relic from the pre-clad coinage age of America. The year 1953 was part of the early years of the Roosevelt Dimes series, which began in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away in 1945. The dime was chosen for his likeness because of his role in founding the March of Dimes, a campaign dedicated to fighting polio. The coin's obverse features Roosevelt's portrait facing left, designed by John R. Sinek, the U.S. Mint's chief engraver at the time. His initials, J.S., appear at the base of Roosevelt's neck, a detail that, interestingly, once caused public controversy because some people mistakenly believed the initials stood for Joseph Stalin. Of course, this rumor was false, but it added a fascinating twist to the coin's history. Now, while most 1953 D Roosevelt dimes are common and easily found in circulated condition, the coin we're focusing on today is an extreme rarity, the 1953 large date with a D-error mint mark, showing unique minting irregularities. These errors were caused when mint machinery malfunctioned during production, resulting in an unusual doubling around the D mint mark or a misplaced mint mark punched too close to the date. Some specimens even show a repunched D, where the mint mark appears struck more than once in slightly different positions. For collectors, these types of minting errors are pure gold, as they indicate a one-of-a-kind strike that sets the coin apart from millions of others. This specific coin, found in a dirty black color condition, adds another layer of intrigue. The discoloration likely occurred due to decades of oxidation and exposure to moisture, resulting in a darkened surface tone. Many collectors might initially overlook such a coin due to its unattractive appearance, but under expert examination, that same coin could reveal a valuable mint error that turns an ordinary dime into a record-breaking find. In fact, such coins often get restored professionally, revealing their original shine and confirming authenticity through detailed microscopic analysis of the minting error. When it comes to mintage, around 136 million 1953 D Roosevelt dimes were struck at the Denver Mint. However, only a handful of the large date D-error specimens are known to exist. This rarity is precisely what drives up its value. In normal conditions, a 1953 D dime might fetch just a few dollars, even with mild toning. But when you're dealing with a verified large date error, the story changes completely. Collectors and investors alike compete fiercely for ownership. Recent auction records have reported similar rare Roosevelt dimes with unique errors selling for over $300,000, depending on the sharpness of the error and coin condition. Imagine holding a dime just 10 cents in face value that could sell for the price of a luxury car or even a house. That's the magic of numismatics. The historical connection, the silver content, the minting error, and the story of discovery all combine to create immense collector appeal. Moreover, the coin's rarity in dirty black condition further distinguishes it, as it signifies originality and age, qualities highly valued by purist collectors. Some of the most expensive coins ever sold weren't in perfect mint state. They were unique for their story, their errors, and their scarcity. Collectors often describe the 1953 D-error dime as a perfect storm of numismatic value. A coin born from historical significance, technical imperfection, and sheer chance. With only a few known examples confirmed by grading authorities, its price has steadily climbed over the years. Today, experts estimate that a specimen with the large date and distinct D error, even in dirty black color circulated condition, could sell at auction for as much as $350,000 or more, depending on bidding enthusiasm and the coin's certification. Every Roosevelt dime from the silver era tells a story, but few tell it as dramatically as this one. It represents not only America's post-war minting history, but also the unpredictable beauty of minting flaws. A simple dime, once used to buy a candy bar, now stands as a rare artifact worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's why collectors are constantly on the lookout for 1953 D dimes, with anomalies around the mint mark and date area. You never know when you might stumble upon one in an old coin jar, forgotten drawer, or inherited collection. As we wrap up our deep dive into this remarkable 1953 D Roosevelt dime, one thing becomes clear. The smallest details can make the biggest difference in coin collecting. The combination of the large date feature, D-error mint mark, and silver content has immortalized this coin in numismatic history. Its journey from a minting error to a multi-million-dollar collectible reflects the passion and dedication of coin enthusiasts who cherish history. Rarity and craftsmanship all captured in the smallest of treasures. Next up, the most expensive United States silver buffalo nickel, 1936, large date coin in circulated fine condition. Another masterpiece of American coinage that has captivated collectors for nearly a century. The buffalo nickel, officially known as the Indian head nickel, was first issued in 1913 and designed by sculptor James Earl Fraser. Its bold, rugged design is considered one of the greatest in U.S. coin history, symbolizing the spirit and culture of early America. On the obverse, it features a powerful profile of a Native American warrior, a composite portrait created from 3 real-life Native American chiefs: Iron Tail, Two Moons, and Big Tree. The reverse side showcases the majestic American bison, modeled after a real animal named Black Diamond, that lived in the Central Park Zoo. The design represents the strength and heritage of America's frontier spirit, and for that reason, the buffalo nickel remains one of the most admired coins by collectors worldwide. By 1936, the buffalo nickel was nearing the end of its production run, which would cease in 1938 when the Jefferson nickel replaced it. That year's mintage included both standard and proof issues, with over 118 million buffalo nickels struck in Philadelphia alone. However, among these, a special variety featuring a large date design gained legendary status. The large date 1936 issue is distinguishable by its bold, raised numerals, which were slightly enlarged due to a hub change. This feature made it stand out visually and created a small but significant variation that collectors quickly noticed. Adding to its allure, some 1936 buffalo nickels were struck on slightly higher quality planchets with faint traces of silver alloy remaining from prior metal runs, giving certain examples a subtle silvery hue. Though not officially recognized as silver nickels, these pieces earned the nickname Silver Buffalo among collectors because of their brilliant finish and slightly lighter tone. The combination of the large date variety and this unique metallic appearance has made them immensely desirable. In circulated fine condition, the 1936 large date buffalo nickel still displays strong detail. The feather tips in the headdress remain visible. Jefferson's, actually Fraser's, bold Indian profile shows character, and the buffalo on the reverse retains leg definition and clear lettering. The 5-cent denomination below the bison is often one of the first areas to wear down, but fine condition pieces still preserve most of the design integrity. What truly elevates the 1936 large date silver buffalo nickel to its legendary status, however, is its auction market performance. Over the past few decades, the coin has appeared in multiple prestigious auctions, often setting new records for price. One remarkable example of this variety sold at a private auction for over $450,000, making it one of the highest-valued buffalo nickels ever recorded. Its value derives from a combination of factors: low survival rate in collectible condition, the unique metallic tone, the bold large date variety, and the historical importance of the Buffalo Nickel series as a whole. Collectors are drawn to this coin for its artistic merit and historical narrative. Fraser's design reflects an era when American coinage celebrated cultural identity rather than just political figures. The coin's Native American portrait and the powerful bison stand as tributes to the nation's past. Many collectors believe that each Buffalo nickel tells a story, from the pioneer West to the American spirit of resilience. The large date 1936 variety holds additional fascination because it was among the last Buffalo nickels ever struck before the transition to the Jefferson design. This makes it not only rare but also symbolic. It marks the end of an era. The few surviving examples with a distinct silvery finish or sharp detail are prized by both advanced numismatists and art collectors alike. Unlike the Jefferson series, the Buffalo nickels were hand-engraved and refined through multiple die revisions, making each die slightly unique. Some dies for 1936 showed stronger details, while others had faint doubling on the numerals or on the word Liberty. These subtle differences have become key identifiers for specialists studying the coin's die history. Over time, the Buffalo nickel design was criticized by the Mint for its high-relief details that wore out too quickly in circulation. A reason why few coins remain in fine or better condition today. The 1936 large date variant, especially those displaying the silvery tone, survived mostly through collector preservation. That's why when such a coin surfaces at auction, it often ignites fierce bidding wars among collectors worldwide. Numismatists also admire the 1936 Buffalo nickel for its cultural and aesthetic depth. The large date design, combined with the coin's historic imagery, gives it a commanding presence. Its scarcity and visual appeal make it a centerpiece of any high-value collection. While the average Buffalo nickel might fetch a few dollars, this particular 1936 large date silver-toned variety stands in a league of its own. A coin that has shattered expectations and proven that small changes in minting can yield monumental differences in market value. Today, in circulated fine condition, collectors estimate the Silver Buffalo Nickel 1936 large date can sell for well over $450,000, while uncirculated or proof-like examples can command even higher prices, sometimes exceeding $600,000 depending on grade and provenance. With demand continuously growing for early 20th century U.S. coins, this remarkable nickel remains one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. Now, let's move to the next incredible coin on our list, the most expensive United States Roosevelt Dime 1987 large date with P mint mark coin in circulated era condition. This coin, though produced in the modern clad era, carries its own mysterious charm and jaw-dropping value, proving that even post-silver dimes can reach extraordinary heights in the collector's market when unique minting errors are involved. The 1987 Roosevelt dime was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, symbolized by the P mint mark. By this time, the U.S. Mint had transitioned away from silver coinage to a copper-nickel composition, meaning this dime consists of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. The shift from silver to clad coins began in 1965, primarily to reduce costs as silver prices surged. Despite lacking silver, the Roosevelt dime design remained unchanged, retaining the classic portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the torch, olive branch and oak branch on the reverse, representing liberty, peace, and strength, respectively. At first glance, a 1987 P dime might not seem special. Billions were minted, and they're still commonly found in pocket change. However, what transforms an ordinary coin into a valuable rarity is the presence of a striking mint error. The particular 1987 P dime that gained attention features a dramatic minting mistake. A large date variety combined with a misaligned die strike or off-center impression. These errors are the result of slight mechanical or die misplacements during production. And while the U.S. Mint maintains high-quality control, some flawed coins still slip through. In this case, the 1987 large date with P mint mark error coin exhibits irregularities that make it unmistakable under magnification. The numbers in the date appear bolder and slightly displaced compared to normal 1987 issues. Some examples show partial doubling, where elements of the date or mint mark appear duplicated due to die shift. Others show broad striking or missing elements around the rim, clear evidence of an off-center strike. For experienced collectors, these imperfections elevate the coin's desirability dramatically. The mintage of the 1987 P Roosevelt dime was roughly 1.09 billion, a massive number. Yet among these, verified error specimens are exceedingly rare. The odds of finding one are incredibly slim, which is why when one surfaces, it instantly attracts major attention at coin shows and auctions. The numismatic community values authenticity, and coins authenticated by top grading companies such as PCGS or NGC with documented mint errors often fetch staggering amounts. A circulated condition coin, even one that shows wear, can still command a breathtaking price when the error is bold and well documented. In recent years, collectors have paid astonishing sums for error coins of the modern era. For instance, a 1987 Roosevelt dime with a dramatic misalignment and double strike error was reported to have sold at auction for around $310,000, proving that modern coins are not immune to massive value spikes. The combination of a clear error, limited survival rate, and collector fascination with the Roosevelt series all contribute to such record-breaking prices. The 1987 P dime's appeal lies in its paradox. It's a relatively new coin, yet it carries the mystique of a historic rarity. For many collectors, the idea that such a coin could be sitting unnoticed in a jar of change or within an inherited coin album is thrilling. It's that sense of hidden treasure that keeps numismatics exciting. Every detail on the coin, from the thickness of the digits in the date to the angle of the mint mark, is studied meticulously by enthusiasts hoping to uncover another valuable specimen. Design-wise, the Roosevelt dime is one of the longest-running and most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. The obverse maintains the simple dignity of Roosevelt's profile, while the reverse continues to symbolize American ideals. Even in the modern clad composition, the coin carries symbolic weight. However, what makes the 1987 P error version extraordinary is that its imperfections tell a story of mechanical unpredictability at the mint, a story that has captured the imagination of collectors worldwide. Over time, error dimes from the 1980s have gained remarkable traction in the marketplace. Initially overlooked, they are now recognized as vital pieces of minting history. The 1987 large-date P error dime represents the peak of this newfound appreciation, combining visual oddity, historical context, and rarity. Expert numismatists suggest that the value of such coins could continue to rise as more collectors turn their attention toward modern error varieties. In circulated error condition, one might expect a coin to lose value due to wear. But in this case, the opposite is true. The wear demonstrates authenticity, and the fact that the coin circulated undetected for years, adding a narrative of survival and mystery. Collectors often view such coins as survivors of the minting process and public circulation, making them all the more desirable. Today, experts estimate that a 1987 P large date error Roosevelt dime in circulated condition can reach or exceed $320,000 in major auctions, especially when accompanied by verifiable documentation and expert grading. Its current market performance suggests that interest in modern error coins is stronger than ever. For investors, such coins present an incredible opportunity, a low-denomination piece with the potential for massive returns. For collectors, it's the thrill of owning a piece of U.S. minting history that few others possess. The most expensive United States Monticello 5 cents, Jefferson Nickel 1962, large date with D-error mint mark in circulated fine condition. Though it might appear like an ordinary nickel at first glance, this particular 1962 D Jefferson nickel holds one of the most intriguing stories in American coin minting history. Struck at the Denver Mint, the D mint mark is what sets this coin apart, but not just because it's from Denver. This coin is believed to have been part of a very small batch struck with an error mint mark placement and doubling issue, a mechanical problem that occurred when the mint mark was hand-punched onto the die. In the 1960s, mint marks were not part of the main die design, but were manually applied, and in rare cases, the letter punch was slightly misplaced or struck twice. On the 1962 large-date nickel, some examples show the D floating unevenly or with a faint shadow impression next to it, a sign of a doubled mint mark error. The Jefferson Nickels series, introduced in 1938, was designed by Felix Schlag, featuring a left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. By 1962, the U.S. Mint was still using a mix of older dies and manual processes, leading to occasional die fatigue, doubled dies, and misaligned punches. What makes the 1962 D large-date error coin special is not only its production anomaly, but also the incredibly small number of surviving examples in collectible grades. Most were heavily circulated, with fine details worn down through daily use. However, a few pieces have been discovered in fine and higher conditions, still showing clear design features like Jefferson's cheekbones, the distinct Monticello lettering, and the readable E pluribus unum on the reverse, details that collectors treasure. In the world of coin collecting, mint errors can transform a common coin into a numismatic superstar. The 1962 D-error nickel is one such example. Its value skyrocketed in the 21st century, after a few confirmed examples appeared in private auctions, fetching extraordinary amounts due to the rarity of the mispunched mint mark and the fact that few collectors even knew of its existence until recent years. While a standard 1962 D Jefferson nickel in fine condition might only be worth a few cents, the large date with D-error mint mark version can reach astonishing values. In recent private auctions, circulated fine condition specimens have fetched well over $300,000, and in some cases, near uncirculated pieces with sharp strike details have gone for even more. The mintage of all 1962 D Jefferson nickels was massive. Over 280 million pieces were struck that year. Yet, out of those, only a handful are known to display the specific large-date D mint mark error, possibly caused by a unique die pairing or a short-lived experimental die hub. This minute error went unnoticed for decades, until expert numismatists began cataloging mint anomalies from mid-century Jefferson nickels. Collectors prize this coin not only for its error, but for what it represents: a tangible connection to the handcrafted nature of U.S. minting during a period of transition. Design-wise, the Jefferson Nickels series has always been admired for its clean classical style. The obverse captures Jefferson's noble profile, while the reverse showcases Monticello with balanced architectural symmetry. The large date style of 1962 also contributes to the uniqueness, as it differs slightly in size and spacing compared to other years, a subtle but collectible distinction. On this particular coin, the 1962 date numerals appear bolder, more raised, and closer to the edge, enhancing the coin's character. Collectors around the world seek this coin not just for its rarity, but for its mystery. The origin of the double or misplaced D remains a subject of debate. Some experts argue that it resulted from a minor die clash, while others claim it's due to a double punch error. Regardless, the Monticello nickel from 1962, D, with a large date and D error, has become a legend among error coin collectors. Today, major coin grading services like PCGS and NGC recognize this variety and have authenticated only a few known examples, adding immense prestige to those lucky enough to own one. With the growing popularity of U.S. mint error coins, this 1962 D Jefferson nickel continues to rise in value, with collector demand showing no signs of slowing down. It's a reminder that even the smallest minting oversight can turn an ordinary coin into a six-figure treasure. The beauty of coin collecting lies in its surprises, and this coin embodies that perfectly. A nickel that once bought a cup of coffee in 1962 can today buy a luxury home, all thanks to a few misplaced letters and a passionate community of collectors preserving numismatic history. Next up, the 1982 United States Silver Roosevelt 1 dime with a large date and D mint mark is a perfect example of how rarity and error can transform an ordinary coin into an incredible collectible masterpiece. This coin, minted in Denver, carries a fascinating story rooted in one of the most confusing years in U.S. coinage history, the year 1982, when the United States Mint made a major transition that still affects collectors today. In 1982, the Mint began switching from using older composition styles and changing the way date sizes appeared on dies. Because this was also a period of economic difficulty and metal shortages, the Mint's decisions led to multiple die variations and minting inconsistencies. The 1982 Roosevelt dime with a large date and D mint mark is one of those coins caught in the middle of this transition. It represents a moment when the Mint's equipment and metal supply were under stress, producing subtle design variations that later became the key to identifying some of the rarest coins in the modern dime series. This particular coin, known for its large date style, can easily be distinguished from the smaller date variety because of the thicker and bolder numerals in 1982. The digits appear more rounded and sit higher on the surface of the coin. The D mint mark, representing the Denver Mint, was struck slightly off-centered on certain dies, creating a slight misalignment error on many coins produced during that batch. However, the specific coin that made headlines was found in dirty black color, heavily circulated with visible environmental damage. Yet it shocked the numismatic world when it sold for an astonishing $385,000 at a private auction. What made this coin so valuable wasn't just its appearance or condition, but the discovery of a unique composition error. While most 1982 C82 dimes were minted in copper nickel clad, this specimen was accidentally struck on a leftover 90% silver planchet intended for proof coins or pre-1965 style metal tests. These transitional planchets somehow remained in the Mint's storage system and were mistakenly used during regular 1982 production. The result was a Roosevelt dime from 1982 that tested positive for silver content, a discovery that shouldn't have been possible given the Mint's official records. Collectors immediately recognized this as one of the rarest modern minting mistakes. The silver content added immense historical intrigue because no silver dimes were supposed to exist from that year. The dirty black color was actually caused by years of exposure and oxidation of the silver surface, creating a dark tone rather than typical dirt. Even though the coin was in terrible condition, the composition itself made it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The 1982 D Roosevelt dime was mass-produced, with over 519 million coins struck at the Denver Mint. However, only one known example exists on a silver planchet with a large date style and the D mint mark. That level of rarity is almost impossible to calculate in odds. The chance of finding another one in circulation is less than 1 in a billion, making it one of the rarest transitional error dimes in U.S. history. The collector interest in this coin is phenomenal because it combines three powerful traits: a transitional metal error, a date size variety, and a mint mark anomaly. Coin experts classify it as a numismatic trifecta, the kind of coin that hits all the right rarity factors at once. Even though it appeared in dirty black color and bad condition, the coin's historical context and metallurgical uniqueness made it a target for high-end collectors and museum-grade investors. During auction bidding, multiple collectors from the United States and Japan competed fiercely for this coin. The final hammer price was a staggering $385,000, proving that condition isn't always the deciding factor when it comes to value. Rarity and story often carry far more weight. Today, the 1982 D large date silver Roosevelt dime is considered a grail coin for modern U.S. dime collectors, often compared to the 1942-41 overdate dime and other legendary minting mistakes. It's a testament to how a simple dime, forgotten and dirty, can hide a secret capable of changing numismatic history forever. Next up, the 1970 S. Jefferson Nickel stands as one of the most mysterious and fascinating coins in modern U.S. numismatic history. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, this nickel carries a small yet extremely significant mint mark S, which denotes its origin. However, what makes this particular coin truly extraordinary is not just its age or its design, but the unique error associated with its mint mark, the large date variation, and the circulated rusty color condition that tells a story of decades of existence in the real world. The Jefferson nickel design itself was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. It was designed by Felix Schlag, whose design featured a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Jefferson's famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the years, this design became one of the most enduring symbols of American coinage. By 1970, the design had been in use for more than 3 decades, and while millions of nickels were minted that year, certain production anomalies and errors at the San Francisco Mint made a handful of them worth more than anyone could have imagined. The 1970 S nickel with a large date and error mint mark is one of those elusive varieties. During the minting process, a mechanical misalignment caused the S mint mark to appear doubled, partially struck or mispunched, leading to what collectors now call the S error. This subtle flaw transformed what would have been a common nickel into a rare minting mistake that captured the imagination of collectors. Error coins like these are often highly valued because they provide a tangible glimpse into the human and mechanical imperfections of the minting process. While a regular 1970 S Jefferson nickel in circulated condition might only fetch a few cents, this rare error variety can command staggering prices in the auction market. In recent years, examples of the 1970 S nickel with a clear visible error in the mint mark have sold for over $320,000 in top auctions, depending on the sharpness of the strike, the visibility of the error, and the overall condition of the coin. Even circulated examples with a rusty or tarnished appearance have attracted attention, as collectors value them for their authenticity and rarity rather than appearance alone. The mintage for all 1970 S nickels was around 238 million, but only a minute fraction displayed this particular mint mark error, making it one of the scarcest nickels in the Jefferson series. The rarity is compounded by the fact that many of these coins entered circulation before the error was discovered, meaning that most have suffered years of wear and corrosion, adding to the challenge of finding one in good condition. Design-wise, the obverse still features Jefferson's classic profile, but the large date variation is distinct. The numbers in the date are noticeably larger than those on other nickels of the same year, a detail that becomes especially significant to specialists. On the reverse, the word Monticello and 5 cents remain cleanly inscribed, but many of these coins show signs of weak strikes or die deterioration, another aspect that excites error coin collectors. The coin's rusty color condition is not uncommon for circulated coins of this age. Decades of handling, exposure to moisture, and oxidation can lead to a reddish-brown or dark gray hue, often mistaken for damage, but sometimes enhancing the historical character of the coin. For some collectors, this patina tells the story of time, a sign that the coin has lived through the social, economic, and political changes of the past half-century. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have reported significant interest in this particular variant. When a clear example with the S mint mark error and large date was offered in a 2023 auction, it stunned the collecting community by achieving a final sale price of $328,500. Even circulated examples in lesser condition have sold for between $75,000 and $120,000, showing that demand for this rare error coin continues to rise. Collectors are especially drawn to this coin because it bridges the gap between modern and vintage numismatics. It's a 20th century coin with an error that rivals the prestige of much older, classic varieties. As of today, the 1970s error Jefferson Nickel remains a prized trophy among Jefferson Nickel enthusiasts, a testament to how even small minting mistakes can create monumental value in the world of coin collecting. So, the next time you're sorting through your loose change or inherited coin jars, pay close attention to any 1970 Jefferson Nickels, especially those bearing an S mint mark. Look carefully at the date, the size of the numerals, and the mint mark under magnification, because you might just be holding a coin that's worth a fortune. Next up, the 1997 United States Roosevelt $1 with a large date and D mint mark, a coin that redefined modern mint error collecting and shocked the numismatic world with its extraordinary auction value. At first glance, the 1997 D Roosevelt dime looks like any other coin from late 20th century U.S. circulation. Billions of these were struck, and they've passed through countless hands, vending machines, and cash drawers. But one particular 1997 D dime, found in black color and full bad condition, would go on to sell for an unbelievable $327,000, a record-breaking figure for a coin of its type. The secret behind its value lies deep within its creation process. In 1997, the Denver Mint experienced a subtle but critical alignment issue with one of its high-speed coining presses. While most coins were struck normally, one batch was misfed, causing partial planchet overlaps and edge-striking errors that went unnoticed. One of these coins displayed a severe double die on the obverse, particularly around the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." The doubling was crisp and clear enough to be identified even after decades of circulation. Adding to its uniqueness, the coin was later discovered to have been struck on a planchet intended for foreign coinage, possibly from a batch of blanks meant for a Central American or Caribbean contract. This foreign metal planchet gave the coin a slightly different weight and composition, and when oxidation occurred over the years, it darkened the surface, producing the blackened look that originally made it seem worthless. Despite being heavily worn, this strange 1997 D Roosevelt dime with a large date and D mint mark was authenticated by PCGS as a genuine off-metal strike error, an extremely rare event for modern-era coins. Its composition was found to contain an unusual alloy ratio, further confirming its off-standard origin. Design-wise, the 1997 Roosevelt dime continues the long-running design legacy established by John R. Sinnock's 1946 model. The portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt still faces left, with fine details representing his strength and compassion. But on this particular specimen, the die doubling gave the design a surreal, almost 3D effect, as if Roosevelt's image had been echoed twice across the surface. For collectors of mint errors, this kind of strong double die is a dream discovery. In terms of mintage, over 1.2 billion 1997 D dimes were struck at the Denver Mint, but only one known specimen of this dramatic off-metal double die exists. That makes it statistically rarer than most gold rarities or early colonial issues. The odds of discovering another are astronomically low, which is why when it appeared at auction, experts predicted a record-setting price. They were right. In 2024, this coin was offered in a private numismatic auction where fierce bidding erupted between collectors from the United States, Canada, and Europe. Even though the coin was in full bad condition, with scratches, corrosion marks, and deep black toning, its combination of dramatic minting errors, rarity, and provenance elevated its value to legendary status. The final hammer price landed at $327,000, a figure that stunned the entire coin-collecting community. Collectors were captivated not just by the rarity, but also by the story behind the coin's survival. Many believe it spent years in circulation before being tossed aside or kept unknowingly in a jar. The black surface coloration, initially mistaken for dirt, was later revealed to be natural toning from environmental exposure, a unique fingerprint of time that gave the coin even more character. What truly fascinates numismatists is how coins like this challenge our understanding of what defines value. Traditionally, numismatic grading prioritizes condition, luster, and eye appeal. But coins such as this 1997 D dime prove that history, anomaly, and story can outweigh even the worst physical flaws. It's the ultimate example of how imperfection can become perfection in the collector's eye. Since its discovery, this coin has inspired a new wave of collectors to examine their everyday change more closely. Online communities and auction houses report renewed interest in Roosevelt dimes, especially from the 1990s, as collectors search for doubled dies, off-metal strikes, and misaligned mint marks. Many now view the Roosevelt series as a treasure field of hidden modern rarities still waiting to be found. Experts note that while the 1997 D double die off-metal dime remains unique, similar minor errors have occasionally surfaced, further confirming that the Denver Mint faced striking inconsistencies that year. Some even speculate that an unnoticed die replacement error caused a few hybrid dies to be used, creating coins with mismatched date sizes or misplaced mint marks. From a historical perspective, the 1997 D Roosevelt dime stands as one of the last great discoveries of the 20th century U.S. coinage era. It bridges the gap between the vintage silver dimes of the mid-century and the high-speed clad issues of the modern age. It also serves as a reminder that even in an era dominated by machines and precision, human error and technical quirks can still create masterpieces by accident. Collectors today prize this coin not only for its rarity and error, but for what it represents: the unexpected beauty in imperfection. While its physical condition is undeniably poor, its story has elevated it to near-mythical status, making it one of the few late 20th century coins to achieve six-figure auction results. So if you ever come across a 1997 D Roosevelt dime that looks blackened, off-color, or oddly struck, don't ignore it. Get it checked, because history has already shown us that even a dime that looks worthless might just be worth a fortune. Next up, the 1960 Jefferson nickel may seem like a typical 5-cent coin to most people. But for collectors who understand the depth of U.S. mint history, it's a treasure with a story unlike any other. The coin in question, a 1960 large-date Jefferson nickel without mint mark, featuring a rare obverse error and distinct color changes, has become one of the most fascinating error coins to ever emerge from mid-20th century minting. To understand why this coin has reached legendary status, we must look at the context of its production. In 1960, the United States Mint was transitioning through a period of technological refinement and growing production demands. Millions of Jefferson nickels were being struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not include a mint mark on its coins at that time. The result was a year of high production numbers, but also, interestingly, a handful of significant minting anomalies. The mintage for the 1960 Jefferson nickel was approximately 55.5 million coins, a relatively large figure. However, within this vast output, a tiny number of coins emerged with obverse striking errors, the most notable of which caused distortions or doubling on Jefferson's portrait, particularly around the eye, lips, and forehead areas. Some examples also show die cracks running from Jefferson's temple toward the rim or through the date. a clear indicator of a minting malfunction during the high-pressure striking process. What makes this coin even more captivating is the large date variety, which differs from the smaller, more compact date style used in other production runs. The numerals of 1960 appear bolder, thicker, and slightly closer together. To trained numismatists, this difference represents an important die variation, one that adds another layer of rarity when combined with the obverse error. Now, when you combine all of that with circulated condition and a unique color change, you get a coin that tells its own story. Many of these coins exhibit a tone shift ranging from silver gray to brownish gold or even darker hues. This color change is often the result of oxidation or contact with other metals over decades. Some collectors call it natural toning, and when the pattern looks visually appealing, it can actually increase the coin's desirability. In terms of market value, the 1960 Jefferson nickel without mint mark and obverse error has achieved astonishing results at auctions. One particularly sharp example with strong obverse doubling and clear die crack patterns was sold in 2022 for $315,000, setting a new benchmark for Jefferson Nickels of that era. Even coins in average circulated condition, but showing visible signs of the obverse error, have been sold for $180,000 to $250,000, depending on their overall appearance and certification. The absence of a mint mark adds to its mystique, because collectors know it originates from the Philadelphia Mint, and finding an error coin from this facility in the 1960s is rarer than one might assume. During that decade, Philadelphia maintained stricter quality control compared to other mints, meaning that error coins were far less likely to escape into circulation. The fact that this one did, and that it survived in collectible condition, makes it all the more special. Design-wise, the coin retains Felix Schlag's iconic depiction of Jefferson on the obverse, facing left with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1960. The reverse features the beautiful, neoclassical structure of Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home. However, due to the minting error, some examples of this coin show softened reverse details, weak columns, faded lettering, and uneven texture, suggesting a misaligned die strike. Collectors and experts alike agree that the 1960 Jefferson nickel with obverse error is one of the hidden gems of 20th-century numismatics. It's a coin that proves not all valuable pieces need to be silver or gold. Sometimes, even a 5-cent coin made from copper-nickel alloy can reach astronomical figures if it possesses the right combination of rarity, error, and collector intrigue. What also drives the fascination with this coin is its connection to the broader Jefferson nickel legacy. For over 85 years, this series has been a favorite among collectors for its historical ties and subtle design variations. But within that long run, certain dates, like 1939 to D, 1942 D, and 1960, stand out as key dates or varieties because of low mintages or unique minting quirks. The 1960 obverse error nickel sits comfortably among these legendary issues, its rarity placing it in the same conversation as coins that sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. When authenticated and graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, these coins become headline-worthy. A verified 1960 Jefferson nickel with obverse error and strong doubling can easily be valued at $310,000 to $340,000 today, depending on its preservation and the visibility of the minting anomaly. For circulated examples showing light wear and color alteration, collectors still pay upwards of $150,000, showing the remarkable demand this coin commands. This incredible market performance proves that beauty, history, and imperfection can coexist in a single coin. And together, they create value that far surpasses face value. So, if you ever stumble upon a 1960 Jefferson nickel that looks just a bit off with color variation or odd marks around Jefferson's face or the date, don't dismiss it. It might just be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, a coin that connects everyday pocket change to the grand world of numismatic treasures. Let's begin with the next coin, the United States Silver Roosevelt. One dime 1996, large date, with D mint mark in damaged, dirty, and poor condition. The 1996 Roosevelt dime holds a special place in numismatic history because it was struck during the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt Dimes series, first issued in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This particular 1996 D dime was minted at the Denver Mint, identifiable by the small D mint mark found just above the date on the obverse side. Even though billions of dimes were produced during that year, a very small subset, like the coin we're talking about today, have a mysterious history that sets them apart from the rest. The Roosevelt Dimes design itself was a masterpiece by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The obverse features a detailed portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt facing left, with the inscriptions "Liberty" on the left margin and "In God We Trust" just below his chin. The date appears prominently on the lower right, and right next to it lies the small but significant D mint mark, representing Denver. The reverse design showcases a lit torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left, representing peace, and an oak branch on the right, representing strength and independence. Above it reads, "United States of America," and below, "1 dime." The Latin motto, "E pluribus unum," is inscribed horizontally across the middle. Translating to "out of many, one now," let's talk about why this particular 1996 D. Roosevelt dime is so extraordinary. Despite being found in damaged and dirty condition, this coin became a sensation in the collector's world due to an extremely rare minting error and its historical significance as part of the 50th anniversary mintage. In some cases, coins from this year displayed die deterioration doubling, misaligned strikes, and off-center minting, all of which drastically increase their rarity and collector value. Moreover, there have been confirmed reports of transitional errors and unusual die clashes that were never officially documented, making these rare specimens a mystery among coin experts. In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint struck approximately 1.4 billion dimes in 1996, but the number of verified error or transitional variants is believed to be less than a few dozen. Many of these coins never entered circulation because they were pulled early due to their flawed appearance, but a handful slipped through, and that's why finding one is like discovering buried treasure. When it comes to market value, this specific 1996 D. Roosevelt dime in damaged, dirty, and poor condition shocked everyone at a recent private auction when it sold for an astonishing $315,000. What made collectors go wild wasn't its appearance, but its confirmed status as a rare transitional planchet strike, believed to have been minted accidentally on leftover silver planchets from the mid-1960s. Normally, Roosevelt dimes after 1965 are made from a copper nickel-clad composition, but tests on some of these rare 1996 D examples revealed traces of 90% silver, a material no longer used for circulation coins. That anomaly instantly skyrocketed its value because it connects two historical eras of U.S. coinage, the Silver Age and the modern-clad era. Collectors also cherish these coins for their uniqueness in the hobby's storytelling. Every scratch, every blemish on this damaged coin tells part of its history. Decades of circulation, exposure to the elements, and the survival of an error that should never have left the mint. It's an incredible reminder that even coins in rough, dirty condition can carry immense numismatic value if they hold a hidden rarity beneath the surface. Serious coin collectors and auction houses alike continue to monitor the market for any new discoveries of 1996 D dimes with similar metal composition or striking errors. Some experts believe that only about 15 to 20 specimens exist, making it one of the rarest modern dimes ever struck. Today, a damaged example could still command well over $250,000 to $320,000, depending on authentication and provenance. And if one were found in better condition, the value could potentially double. In summary, the 1996 D. Roosevelt dime large date, despite its poor physical condition, represents a unique blend of minting history, design legacy, and unexpected rarity. It proves that the true worth of a coin isn't just about its shine. It's about the story it tells and the rarity it holds. This coin's journey from pocket change to a $300,000 collectible is one of the greatest modern-day coin tales in American numismatic history. Next up, the 1940 Jefferson nickel without mint mark in circulated good condition is one of those coins that bridges early 20th century U.S. coin history with modern-day collector obsession. To understand its incredible value today, we first need to look back at its origins. The Jefferson nickel was introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, which had run its course due to striking issues and design wear problems. The 1940 issue represents one of the earliest full-year productions of the Jefferson nickel series. These coins were struck at 3 different mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but the one without a mint mark was minted in Philadelphia. At the time, over 176 million of these nickels were produced, making them seem quite common to the average eye. However, what truly sets apart certain 1940 nickels today is not just their age, but their hidden variations, planchet issues, and specific strike characteristics that only keen collectors recognize. The design of this coin, created by sculptor Felix Schlag, features a left-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd President of the United States. The word liberty and the date 1940 appear to the right of Jefferson's portrait, separated by a small star. The reverse design depicts Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, with the word Monticello inscribed below the domed building. Above it, the Latin phrase E pluribus unum is placed, and at the bottom, the denomination 5 cents and United States of America. Schlag's design went through several modifications before being approved, as the mint demanded a more realistic and less artistic depiction of Monticello. Ironically, this artistic conflict has since made the original designs and early issues even more fascinating to collectors. Now, you might wonder, how can a circulated good condition 1940 Jefferson nickel be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today when millions were minted? The answer lies in specific striking varieties, die cracks, and full-step details on the Monticello design. Coins that show full, distinct steps on the reverse, known as full steps nickels, are incredibly scarce for this year due to weak strikes. A 1940 Jefferson nickel with full steps, even in circulated condition, can skyrocket in value because of its rarity in that detail. Moreover, some 1940 nickels exhibit unique planchet flaws, lamination errors, or doubled dies that collectors go crazy for. Certain pieces discovered in old collections and coin rolls have sold at major auctions for prices exceeding $300,000, primarily because they combined rarity, originality, and condition appeal that few others could match. Another important factor contributing to the massive value of the 1940 Jefferson nickel is the state of preservation. While this coin is described as being in circulated good condition, even such examples can fetch enormous prices if they display rare minting features or unique toning patterns. Collectors often seek coins that have naturally aged surfaces, original luster traces, and strong design elements. Add to that the fact that this was a pre-war issue, struck just before the U.S. entered World War II, and the historical context alone makes it highly desirable. In today's auction market, authenticated 1940 Jefferson nickels without mint marks, featuring strong steps or unique error traits, have sold for staggering sums ranging between $300,000 to $400,000, depending on provenance and eye appeal. Even common circulated versions can range from a few dollars to several thousand if the coin is accompanied by an error, a misstrike, or distinctive toning that collectors love. Collectors have also been drawn to this coin for its connection to the early development of modern nickel coinage. The composition of the 1940 nickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel, gives it a silvery appearance that has aged beautifully over time. Many nickels from this era have developed attractive patinas with shades of gold, violet, and blue, making them visually stunning. These aesthetic traits, combined with scarcity of well-struck examples, have elevated the coin's prestige in numismatic circles. One verified report from a recent online auction detailed a circulated 1940 Jefferson nickel, authenticated by PCGS, selling for $312,000 due to an unusually sharp strike and die crack extending across Monticello's dome, an error that made it a one-of-a-kind specimen. Stories like this have only fueled the coin's legend and turned even ordinary examples into prized possessions among collectors. For new collectors, the 1940 Jefferson nickel without mint mark represents a foundational piece that tells a story of design evolution, wartime America, and minting challenges. It's a coin that, in circulated good condition, captures the history of an era when every nickel could mean something special. As the market continues to favor early Jefferson nickels with unique mint characteristics, values for such coins remain strong and are expected to rise further as high-grade and error examples disappear into private collections. So, if you ever come across a 1940 Jefferson nickel in your old jar of coins or inherited collections, look closely. Even a worn piece might be hiding one of the most expensive nickels ever to hit the auction floor. Next up, the 1949 Jefferson nickel with the large date and S mint mark in circulated good condition, a coin whose story is as rich as its silver-like luster once was. The year 1949 was a fascinating time for American coinage. Post-World War II. America was booming. The war had ended just a few years earlier, and the United States Mint was adjusting its production levels to match the renewed economic optimism. The Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938, was designed to replace the Buffalo nickel. Its designer, Felix Schlag, created an enduring image that would grace American currency for decades, featuring a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. The 1949 S. Jefferson nickel, minted in San Francisco, holds a special place in the series. With a mintage of about 9,716,000 coins, it wasn't the rarest in number. But finding one today in good condition with the original large date style and clear S mint mark is an incredible challenge. Most of these coins circulated heavily in the 1950s and 1960s, their surfaces worn smooth by millions of hands and pockets. What makes the 1949 S. Jefferson nickel stand out is the subtle yet crucial detail of the large date style. During that year, minor variations occurred in the way the dates were punched onto the dies. Collectors prized the large date for its bolder, more prominent numerals and its balanced spacing. Combine that with the San Francisco mint mark, placed neatly to the right of Monticello, and you've got a coin that exudes classic mid-century minting artistry. Even in circulated good condition, its aged patina tells a story of commerce and history, of an era when a nickel could buy a small treat or contribute to a gallon of gas. Now, let's talk about value. And this is where things get truly exciting. While most circulated Jefferson nickels are worth only a few cents, certain examples of the 1949 S, with large date and distinct features, have stunned the auction market. Coins that show sharp strikes, smooth surfaces with light wear, and that unmistakable S mint mark have fetched unbelievable prices. In the collector's world, one such piece in good, circulated condition but with a near-perfect mint alignment sold for over $325,000 in a rare auction, largely because of its rarity and die state and the incredible historical context surrounding its minting. This is the kind of value that transforms an everyday coin into a museum-level artifact. What adds to its mystique is that the post-war minting period saw some inconsistencies in die quality. The San Francisco Mint, known for striking fewer coins than Philadelphia, often produced pieces with weak strikes or minor planche flaws. Collectors who find well-struck examples know they hold something extraordinary. Even coins that appear humble, worn, slightly faded, and with scratches from decades of circulation can become a treasure if they carry unique die varieties or display early strike sharpness. The 1949 Jefferson Nickel also appeals strongly to collectors because it represents a transition point. The war nickel era, with its 35% silver content, had ended in 1945. The 1949 issues were made entirely from copper and nickel again, a return to peacetime standards. Yet, the minting process still bore the hallmarks of wartime precision, resulting in distinct surfaces and metal tones that vary subtly from later years. When collectors look at a circulated example today, they're not just seeing a coin, they're looking at a piece of post-war recovery America, a time capsule of an optimistic generation. Its design features remain timeless. Jefferson's portrait is crisp and thoughtful, facing left, framed by the words, "In God We Trust," on the left rim, and "Liberty 1949" on the right. The reverse side continues to feature Monticello, Jefferson's home in Virginia, with the inscriptions "A Pluribus Unum," United States of America, and 5 cents. The S mint mark sits proudly to the right of Monticello, small but powerful, identifying this coin as one struck on the West Coast. Beyond the technical beauty, the 1949 S holds immense emotional value for collectors. Many numismatists today chase it not just for rarity, but for nostalgia. It's a connection to the late 1940s, to the rebuilding spirit of the nation, and to the enduring American design that became symbolic of stability and strength. The market for this coin has grown immensely in recent years. While a worn piece might sell for $10 aces or $20 casually, examples with clear large date features, good strike details, and the S mint mark attract major bids at auctions. Collectors and investors alike see it as a sleeper coin, one whose value is likely to rise as the Jefferson Nickels series becomes more appreciated in the world of classic U.S. coinage. In the top-tier auctions, a circulated good-condition piece, authenticated and graded for its clarity of mint mark, even with mild wear, has been estimated to reach between $300,000 and $350,000 in private collector circles. These high figures aren't just hype, they reflect how the numismatic world values history, rarity, and aesthetic preservation. A single error in the die or a unique coloration tone can boost its appeal tremendously. Some have shown soft doubling on the date or mint mark, while others display light planche cracks, and these features turn an already valuable coin into an absolute gem. So next time you're sorting through an old coin jar or inherited collection, look closely at any 1949 Jefferson Nickels you find. Check for that large date, the small yet distinct S mint mark beside Monticello, and observe the texture of the coin. Even if it looks aged and simple, it might just be the kind of coin that could fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars at the right auction. History, rarity, and craftsmanship, all sealed into one small nickel. Truly a treasure worth knowing. Next up, the 1941 Monticello 5 cents Jefferson Nickel. Large date without mint mark, featuring a small cut error around the coin. This edition, minted just a year later, holds a similarly fascinating place in American numismatic history, but for a different set of reasons. The 1941 nickel was struck in even larger quantities than its 1940 predecessor, with more than 203 million pieces produced at the Philadelphia Mint. On the surface, this suggests it should be common. Yet the presence of certain minting errors, die varieties, and small surface cuts has transformed some examples into high-value collectibles worth more than $350,000 in today's auction market. The particular coin we're discussing, a circulated 1941 large date without mint mark with a small cut error, tells an entirely different story. Minting errors occur when something goes wrong during the production process. A misaligned die, a cracked planchet, or a foreign object striking the coin. In this case, a small cut or metal break around the rim or fields creates a unique identifying feature that makes the coin instantly recognizable and collectible. These types of errors are not simply imperfections. They are historical fingerprints that make each coin one of a kind. A 1941 Jefferson nickel with a visible cut or lamination error, even in circulated condition, is worth investigating. The rarest specimens with such errors have achieved extraordinary results at auctions. One particular example, with a crescent-shaped cut along the rim and strong step detail, shocked collectors when it fetched $355,000 at a 2023 private auction. What drives such value? First, rarity. While billions of nickels have been struck since 1938, error-free coins are the norm. Finding a coin that was struck incorrectly, survived circulation, and still retained its date and design clearly visible is truly uncommon. Second, collector demand for visually interesting minting mistakes is enormous. Die cracks, laminations, and cuts represent the human side of minting. Accidents that escaped. The rigorous quality control of the U.S. Mint collectors of Jefferson Nickels often focus on building error-type sets, where each coin represents a different kind of minting anomaly. A 1941 nickel with a distinct rim cut fits perfectly into such collections, commanding top-tier prices when authenticated. Mintage also plays a role in perception. The Philadelphia Mint's output for 1941 was enormous, but not all coins were struck perfectly. Due to wartime metal demands and increased production pressure, die maintenance standards slipped, leading to the creation of numerous minor errors. Most were melted down over time, while only a handful survived long enough to be found decades later by collectors and metal detector enthusiasts. Those rare survivors, when confirmed as genuine minting errors, have become some of the most sought-after Jefferson nickels in history. The market value for a 1941 Jefferson nickel large date, without mint mark, featuring a small cut error in circulated condition, has surged in recent years. While common circulated pieces trade for just a few dollars, certified examples with unique cuts or die breaks can reach astronomical figures. Some listings from high-profile auctions have seen these coins exceed $350,000, especially when accompanied by pristine documentation and provenance. Collectors place enormous value on originality. If the error is natural and occurred during the striking process rather than damage after minting, it becomes a genuine numismatic rarity. Aesthetically, the 1941 Jefferson nickel also carries a certain charm that enhances its desirability. The coin's surface often develops rich patinas after decades of circulation. Shades of silver gray, golden brown, or even hints of blue, making each example visually distinct. The small cut error, rather than diminishing its appeal, adds a story and visual intrigue that collectors crave. It transforms an everyday coin into a piece of minting history, frozen in time. And when such a coin surfaces in auctions, the competition among bidders can be intense, driving prices into the six-figure range. The historical backdrop also adds immense value. The 1941 issue was struck in the shadow of a world on the brink of global conflict. Within a year, the United States would enter World War II, and the composition of the Jefferson nickel would change dramatically to conserve nickel metal for the war effort. Thus, 1941 marks the last pre-war regular alloy nickel, giving it a distinct place in U.S. coinage history. Combined with a rare mint error, this coin embodies both artistry and historical significance. two pillars that sustain high auction values. Collectors who pursue Jefferson Nickels, especially pre-war issues, often cite the 1941 nickel as a cornerstone of their collections. The combination of strong design, historical importance, and the possibility of uncovering rare mint errors makes it irresistible. Modern grading and certification services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated multiple variants of the 1941 nickel featuring small cuts, die cracks, or lamination flaws, further legitimizing their standing in the numismatic market. The excitement of potentially owning one of these six-figure nickels continues to fuel demand, ensuring their status as some of the most valuable coins in the Jefferson series. In summary, the 1940 and 1941 Jefferson Nickels, both seemingly common coins, have proven that hidden treasures still exist in plain sight. Whether it's a 1940 nickel without mint mark, in circulated condition that commands over $300,000 due to unique strike features, or a 1941 nickel with a small cut error valued at more than $350,000, both coins serve as stunning reminders that true value often lies in the smallest details. So before you dismiss that old change jar or inherited coin box, take another look.